Greetings, Earthlings. We gotta talk about Adult Swim. See, this is so much more comfortable. Why would I ever sit or stand when I could talk and pretend like I'm in therapy? The cool thing about a mic arm is it's supposed to be connected to something, but this one isn't, so I might as well just hold a microphone. Last time I talked about Adult Swim, actually, let me get the hat. Spooky, right? I got the spooky hat. I also got a ton of comments from people that said my hair was distracting, so you can thank them. I'm just gonna do away with the mic arm. I think this was a bad idea. I set a precedent with all the previous videos, making them either an hour and a half, or basically 2 hours. So this one's gonna be a lot shorter, like significantly shorter than anything else I made this year, so I didn't mean to disappoint anyone, but making this video has been a nightmare. The original plan was just to talk about how excited I was for the future of Adult Swim with all the new shows. If you go back and watch the half-year catch-up I did in June or July, where I held off on talking about Smiling Friends and the new Aqua Teen, I was like, oh, I'll talk about them in an upcoming video because I knew I was going to make a continuation of the Adult Swim one for the next September. It's September again, and I could not have picked a worse time to make this video. Since I started writing this, every day, basically, and then it slowed down. Now it's only once a week. Oh, good heavens. There has been new terrible news either about exclusively Adult Swim, Warner Media, or just HBOmax, the entire conglomerate in general, each of them being so ground-shattering and important that I had to rewrite the video from scratch multiple times. I knew all the series were coming out, so I couldn't have filmed this until way later. I am filming this way later in the month than any other video I'd ever done, even like the half-year catch-up. So that's why it's also short, but also I have a lot of things to say, so maybe it'll be longer than I think. Originally, I was just gonna like talk about the new seasons of Tuca and Birdie, Rick and Morty, Primal, and talk about Pibby a little bit, and I am gonna do that. But the situation is far more bleak now. But I also like wavered on whether or not I should even bother making this because so many other people have already made a video about like, oh man, what's going on with HBO Max? What is the deal with the entire company? What's wrong with Cartoon Network? What's happening with Adult Swim? That I feel like I don't even have a lot to say about it. Because I'm not in the industry, I wouldn't have like a unique perspective, but I do love Adult Swim very deeply, and I have a lot of relationships, or at least a tighter bond with a lot of the shows I'm going to talk about, so I thought I might as well give my 2 cents about it, even though everyone on the fucking internet already has. Okay, see, when I go off script, I swear, and you can't say fuck in the first 5 minutes of a video, especially now. Last time we talked, I was very excited and hopeful about the future of Adult Swim, with the little asterisk of being a little bit spooked about the merger of Warner Media and AT&T, and I was like, that probably won't be a problem. It's a problem now. And yes, we are going to cover all the terrible stuff that has been going on and the implications of what that terrible stuff means, but before we do, we left off last time September 2021, so I'd like to talk about some lighter stuff that happened in the year since, before we get into the bad.
Hey, the villain is here with Holiday Cheer on Adult Swim. And now, Family Guy.
Most of the stuff I'm going to get into later is stuff that really nobody saw coming, but Family Guy leaving Adult Swim, even when making last year's video, I knew it was going to happen. I streamed my reaction to 2 separate nights on Adult Swim, because sometimes they air really cool stuff. I streamed my reaction to the actual anniversary night, their 20th anniversary, and then, as a little extra, I'm like, might as well stream another reaction. I streamed my reaction to the final night of Family Guy on Adult Swim. 20th anniversary, show leaving the network. Guess which one got more fanfare? And I'm not even mad that they acknowledged Family Guy leaving. I actually really appreciate it, and the little animation they made is cute and also made me emotional for some reason. But the fact that 20 years, like most people don't acknowledge any anniversaries in Adult Swim. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's our 17th anniversary, which is really weird. The 20th, the 2-0, that's the big one. They didn't do anything. I'm slunching back here, but also leaning my shoulders forward, so I look like, this is how you know I'm confident. I know it's not a great show, and I know unironically liking Family Guy is legally posting cringe, but you don't understand. I watch the show every night for like my entire life. As a bit. It was ironic, though. Whew, that was a close one. September 2021, Family Guy formally left Adult Swim for the foreseeable future, if not permanently, after being on the network for decades, and you know what? It was sad. It's nostalgic. I grew up watching Family Guy on Adult Swim, and I grew up watching Johnny Test, too, and I have no desire to go back to that, but it's just a nostalgic experience. The thing that adds the extra wrinkle into this isn't the first time this has happened. 2 shows, King of the Hill and Futurama, also used to both air on the network before they were taken off, with little to no fanfare. Also, The Cleveland Show. Does that matter. The Cleveland show's lasting legacy on Adult Swim is that it had a The Heart She Holler themed jump scare while it was airing. And that's it. To be fair, I also grew up watching both King of the Hill and Futurama on Adult Swim, so I was used to an absence. But the only question was, what were they gonna fill this new Family Guy shaped hole slot with? Cause contrary to popular belief, Family Guy was still crazy popular and a massive reason people were watching Adult Swim. The downside of holding a mic in my hand is I can't. A lot of people commented that I drink an obscene amount of soda in these videos, and it just makes me want to do it more. At least we still have American Dad. I was always more partial to that anyway. And for a while, they just filled that empty slot with Rick and Morty and Tuca and Birdie, two good choices. And then under everyone's noses, by the end of the year, by right now, both King of the Hill and Futurama had returned to Adult Swim and airing in syndication. While I was sick in my room on New Year's, or a version of me was sick in my room on New Year's, or their room, I watched the first couple episodes of Futurama re-premiere on Adult Swim in normal definition. You see, I never really noticed this as a kid because I wasn't annoying yet, but the shows when I was watching in the 2000s didn't air in their standard 4:3. Most stuff back in the day was in standard definition 4:3, this little square here, YouTube videos, TV shows, video games. Then around the 2000s, we started to switch to high definition, HD, resolution 16:9. And sometimes when stuff gets re-released or added to a new streaming service, they want to make it widescreen, so they either use the original shot that is in 16:9 that wasn't meant to be that way, or they zoom in really close. When Seinfeld was put on Netflix and Simpsons was put on Disney Plus, they did the zoom in technique to make it look like it was widescreen for some reason, and both shows had a lot of visual gags that were just cut off by this. And then for shows like iCarly that were shot way later, were shot in high definition, but aired in standard definition and were edited that way. So you see a lot of shots when it was added on Netflix of characters kind of on the side, like picking their nose or fucking around, because they don't believe they're on camera because they aren't supposed to be on camera, but we're seeing that, so we see a lot of continuity mistakes, and it just didn't occur to Netflix to fix it. What I'm getting at is that back in the day, Adult Swim did neither of those. They did the nobody knew there was a third option, the worst third option of just stretching it out, which I didn't even know they did at the time, but they have now officially aired it in standard 4:3 because ironically nowadays people care significantly less about stuff being in widescreen. Nostalgia is very powerful, so if you make a YouTube video just to square, I don't have the courage to do it. So for the first time since the 90s, King of the Hill aired on television in its standard definition of 4:3. Cool moment. I think it's cute. As much as I really miss Family Guy, if this whole thing was just an elaborate ploy to get King of the Hill and Futurama back on the network, it will have been a fair trade.
Tonight, we will kill you! My colleagues at Adult Swim have prepared a horrifying omelet of 2 new episodes, guaranteed to frightenate you!
Adult Swim shadow drops stuff a lot, so you just need to be constantly watching or just observing the internet to see if something new or cool happens. But 2 nights where we know to tune in because stuff is definitely going to happen is Halloween and April Fools. Last time I brought up the 2020 Halloween special Opal by Jack Stauber that I love. Still, I was busy streaming on the day of Halloween, so I missed it. I don't know if it actually aired on the network, but I know that on that day, Adult Swim uploaded a video to their YouTube channel called Come and Learn with Pibby. We're talking about Pibby. I have things to say. I'm gonna piss people off. The trailer consists of children's show character Pibby being whisked away by the Void and attempts to escape through multiple different cartoon worlds, some of which are familiar and slowly get taken over themselves. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think this was supposed to be like a pilot or a pitch. Initially, it was just like, oh, a fun little gag. But also, why would they upload? They uploaded weirder shit, so it's not impossible that they're like, oh, look how funny this thing is, but the internet latched onto it, and Adult Swim has done this multiple times before. When the internet reacts positively, gotta get more out of that. The reason I sped through that explanation as opposed to the explanation about different definitions of television airing is because you have likely either heard of Pibby or actually seen the Pibby short. If you haven't, I don't know how long it is. It can't be longer than 3 minutes. It's on YouTube. Just go watch it. They be using apple juice as floor cleaner. Don't forget to tell your mom this. And because we live on the internet, a beautiful place with no flaws, when it came out, everyone loved it and sang its praises, and then a little bit of time passed, and now everyone hates it, and you're cringe for liking it. Yeah, actually, I never liked this. Can we finally admit that this was never good? Not to get off topic and go on a tangent, but this happens all the time with stuff on the internet. Hamilton, Rick and Morty, Bo Burnham's Inside just last year, where everyone loved it until people just... it's actually not very good all of a sudden out of nowhere. To just give you guys a hint of how old the script is, how long I've been writing this, there's a whole section here about Taika Waititi and Thor Love and Thunder that I no longer care enough to get angry about. Pibby isn't even a show yet, and people have already deemed it's cringe and not good. What the short use? Why? Because it's in Friday Night Funkin' and kids like that, and kids like stupid things. Oh, look, they think Sonic EXE is scary. I thought Sonic.exe is scary. I think it's cool when kids get to rediscover something through the internet. I don't really love Teen Titans Go or... I shouldn't bring up Total Drama, but the Total Drama Baby Show, but it exposed a new generation of children to a show they probably wouldn't have watched otherwise. Me childhood better than you childhood. I see this all the time and it pisses me off to no end because I remember what it was like to be that kid. I absolutely loved Skylanders, but all the Spyro fans on the internet is like, this game's fucking trash. They ruined Spyro. They did, but I didn't care. But maybe giving some people the benefit of the doubt, maybe they're not just following trends, which is ironically what they're trying to avoid. Maybe they legitimately think it's a bad premise, and albeit this copy pasta about it being scary because it's characters you know is funny, I want to talk about that. It also, like, reveals a deeper problem. If this does go on to become a full-length show, I'm still not super set on it, but they've been hinting at it a lot. What substance will the show have beyond, look at the screen! It's thing you like! Wait a minute, I have enough space now that I could do the soy jack. That was perfect. Frame that. People have postulated that maybe it could work as a miniseries or just a short little movie like Over the Garden Wall or other random shit Adult Swim has done, and I think that's a great idea. And while I normally agree that just something full of references has no substance of its own, even if that is true with Pibby, I'm willing to let it slide because of what I mentioned earlier of the new generation. It has the unique situation of being able to introduce older characters to a new generation. But what does this mean? Skipping ahead a little bit into next year, this year, 2022, Adult Swim does their April Fools. Halloween 2021, Adult Swim did Pibby. April Fools 2022, they did Pibby again. Also, thank God they uploaded the whole thing to YouTube. I talked in the last video about two things. One, that Adult Swim is very hip with the internet and you could just watch the actual broadcast as a live stream as long as you have a login. But the second thing is that so many iconic Adult Swim moments and bumps have just been lost to time and are straight up lost media. Could you imagine if they're like, oh, remember this whole Pibby thing, and then nobody could find it? Did you know that they don't have the all kids out of the pool bumper anymore? They had to re-air it as like part of the anniversary, I think. And I thought there was a big Indiana Jones archive that they have all the bumps in. They admitted they had to look up the clips on YouTube because they don't have them. People were live tweeting the episode of Rick and Morty to let them know that it was Pibby related. Also, side note, it's weird that they picked the same episode that they spoofed in the previous April Fool's joke, but so all the children Pibby fans came out of the woodwork. Maybe they like Friday Night Funkin', maybe they actually like Pibby, to watch this live stream on YouTube, which is accessible to them because kids don't have cable, and I am only 21 years old. I am now just allowed to legally drink barely. I have never felt older in my life. They were adding Pibby to all the iconic Adult Swim shows, and then Aqua Teen Hunger Force came on, and I legitimately saw people in the chat who did not know what Aqua Teen was and thought they were Pibby characters. People in the chat were like, is this a Pibby thing? I am better than this. I'm not going to criticize children. I'm moving on. I was taken aback and a little offended at first, but then it dawned on me that just because of this Pibby short, a whole bunch of kids were experiencing Aqua Teen Hunger Force for the first time, like I did. Pibby could be used to introduce characters kids might not know to a wide audience, because the popularity of Pibby exceeds the popularity of Adult Swim itself. It's weird to say that, but it's true. They might not even know it's an Adult Swim character. Again, fucking Friday Night Funkin'. I saw a clip of kids in the movie theater for the Sonic 2 movie. Spoilers for Sonic 2. I don't know why I haven't seen it yet. If you plan on seeing it, The after credit scene is Shadow, and the kid was like, oh my god, is that Sonic.exe? Because they didn't know who Shadow was, but they knew Sonic.exe, because they don't play Sonic games, but they play Friday Night Funkin', which is similar to what I did, where I never played Sonic games, I just watched them get fucked on Newgrounds. The internet is a crazy place sometimes, but I'm no better. I played Smash Bros. Before any Nintendo game, aside from Mario and Pokemon, so I knew Link from Smash Bros., Samus from Smash Bros., and Captain Falcon from Smash Bros. That one's actually correct. I also played Lego Star Wars before I watched the Star Wars movies, which for the prequels, I think is the better experience. Got them again, prequel fans. I also played the Lego Indiana Jones games before I watched Indiana Jones. So imagine my shock when there were in the movie. I didn't know that, because they're not going to make a Lego figure. Jesus Christ. Hey, animation community, have you heard of the Galactic Kids Next Door? I'm sure you have. I know all the people on the YouTube animation community are always talking about, well, they should bring back Courage, they should bring back Billy and Mandy, they should bring back Kids Next Door. We all want to see these reboots. The original creators want to make reboots. Why isn't Cartoon Network making them? It's because kids don't give a shit. But imagine this. Think about this for a second. Marinate on this. Pibby episode, right? Pibby goes to the world of Kids Next Door. It's set after Kids Next Door. She meets the Galactic Kids Next Door. Millions of children on TikTok see this clip and they're like, oh my god, the Galactic Kids Next Door. They're gonna post fan art like they do of Raven and Beast Boy of these characters shipping 4 and 3 together, I think. Thus, creating hype for the Galactic Kids Next Door, potentially. It's not impossible. This is all strictly hypothetical, though. We really don't know what Pibby is going to end up being. Originally, I pitched the idea of it being a limited series, but most TV seasons are only 10 episodes nowadays anyway, so why not just do one season of 10 episodes, see how it goes, and then, you know, if it's popular, make more seasons. What a novel concept. Also, if you're a parent or just like a pearl-clutching millennial, you may see a problem with Adult Swim having a show that is predominantly watched by children, but kids watch some pretty fucked up things nowadays. You go into a shopping mall and you see a kiosk of like, oh, plushies for children, and it's animatronics that have dead kids trapped inside of them and fucking Squid Game. The only reason I'm obsessed with Adult Swim now and I'm talking about it is because I watched it as a kid. Also, I think I have a developmental thing.
Good morning, Paul. What will your first sequence of the day be?
Computer load up, Celery Man, please.
I want to keep this video focused and I have a long rant at the end, but I want to get all the positive stuff out of the way or stuff I want to talk about, exciting things. So I will keep this brief, but the original uncut footage of Paul Rudd dancing for Tim and Eric Awesome Show Great Job on a green screen came out, and I don't think it was lost footage, it just like kind of resurfaced, and I am in love. And it was revealed in the behind the scenes thing that now Tane, something I can get into, was a line improvised on the spot. Is there anything these guys can't do? I discovered Awesome Show when I was like a preteen, and I knew a couple actors from it. That's Jack Black. That's the guy from Alvin and the Chipmunks. But this year, 2022, is the first year I really got invested in Bob Odenkirk. Take a wild guess why. I started this year in my mom's basement, super fucked up with COVID, watching Breaking Bad for the first time, and I've wrapped up, the year's not over, watching the final season of Better Call Saul. I experienced all of Breaking Bad from start to finish and the entire universe in 1 year. After getting into both of these shows, I went on a Bob Odenkirk kick, something I deemed an Oden kick by accident, and I started seeking out everything he has ever been in because I wanted to watch it all. In more ways than one, this is a spiritual sequel to the half-year catch-up because I have a lot of things to catch up on.
Welcome to law school. Who is the student who's been assigned to assist me, Gerald Hennessy?
Yes, sir. Right here, sir.
Very well, Mr. Hennessy.
Also, he worked with Dino Stamatopoulos, the creator of Moral Oral. Should I talk about how, not because of me, but this year and last year, Moral Oral got insanely popular all of a sudden? It's not really about the future of Adult Swim, but I think it's cool. I went back through some of my favorite comedy shows only to find that Bob was there all along. And while on my 6th rewatch of Awesome Show Great Job, I realized something. Crazy that it took me this long to figure it out.
Great job.
That's him. That's Bob. Bob is the one that says great job at the beginning of most of the episodes. That's the guy who followed the foot fetish Twitter account. Will this even be relevant by the time this goes up? I wrote that joke a long time ago. I also have a side note here that says I should talk about the Shenmue series that Adult Swim produced based on the Dreamcast game of the same name, but I don't like anime. I just realized it myself. Adult Swim is constantly cosmically entangled with the two thoughts of super beloved and popular, and underground and secret. I talk about most Adult Swim series like no one has ever seen them before, so I explain them from the ground up very thoroughly. This is why I do that. And I was fully prepared to do that for Smiling Friends in the half-year catch-up and even at the beginning of this year when figuring out what I was going to do for next year's Adult Swim. In the previous Adult Swim video, I'm like, oh, a little thing called Smiling Friends. Maybe you know about it. And I was going to, when I was reviewing it, like pitch it like, oh, you guys gotta watch Smiling Friends. It's great. But most people have watched Smiling Friends. In a fantastic turn of events, Smiling Friends is not only popular, but crazy popular, even with people who don't know the people who work on it. So while it's a little sad that I don't get to sing the praises of Smiling Friends, dozens of other people on this website have already done that, and there's nothing else I can add besides it being, this show is funny. Like, adding that to Adult Swim's main lineup right now, Tuca and Birdie is beloved. We'll get into that, hold on. And Rick and Morty is the one your mom knows. I don't think Smiling Friends has reached that level yet, but Rick and Morty didn't get super popular, like mainstream, until season 3, so can't wait for that pickle episode. And as much as I could say that I'm really surprised by this, I'm actually not. I really thought this was going to be popular because how many people are backing it. Because on one end are influencers, internet personalities, or people that have just been on the internet for a long time watching it, who are fans of Psychic Pebbles and the whole Newgrounds aura and era and the people surrounding that. On the other end, there's the rest of the animation fans that are pushing for the show super hard because it is the first major internet personality leaving YouTube to make their show, and it's actually like good and their vision. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and shit on the Annoying Orange or Fred show or the Odd Ones Out show that's coming out, but those clearly aren't anyone's vision. I made a video about a cartoon, it got 1 million views. I'm not here to like flex or anything, but can I please be in the cartoon community now? I want to be on crystal clear. I'm not shocked that people like it. I am shocked, however, at how hard Adult Swim is pushing this. I love Adult Swim, but I am so used to great shows on the network being swept under the rug or put at 3 a.m., which is when I'm watching, but is kind of the dead spot for everyone else. I fully expected that to happen to Smiling Friends, so imagine my shock when I see actual, like, inflatable things popping up that was a couple miles away from me, and yet I couldn't figure out where it was. Missed an opportunity. It is currently up there, if not higher, than Rick and Morty and Tuca and Birdie. Right. Bird Girl. I regret putting you on wheels. There was a period when I was writing the script that the worst thing I could say is that I didn't like Bird Girl a lot, but so many worse things have happened, so not even worth it. Back to Smiling Friends, because I have more to say about it. It's likely something we're going to get 10 more episodes a year from now, maybe 10 episodes a year, if not taking gap years, and the creators of the show have been very adamant about not wanting the show to get stale. And I understand why they're doing this, because shows like The Simpsons, Family Guy, SpongeBob, they get stale after a long while, but I think these guys are overestimating how long it'll take before it gets stale. Like, I think they're trying to overcorrect and give us the least amount of Smiling Friends possible as to not, like, overdo it. We have 11 episodes in total, and I totally understand their fear. It's totally valid. The fear comes from previous examples like The Simpsons, Family Guy, SpongeBob, but those seasons had like 20 to 25 episodes per season, whereas nowadays TV seasons are like 10, or if we're lucky 13, maybe 8 if we're really naughty. So they might be looking at the season numbers and be like, oh, season 5, that's when it's gonna get stale. But in reality, season 5 of Smiling Friends will be like season 2 of SpongeBob. I don't want to force people to make stuff they don't want to make. I think the passion comes across, and you can tell when someone is writing something that they're really miserable, and maybe these people want to constantly jump between projects and make new things all the time. I just think that Smiling Friends has a long shelf life, and I hope we get to see that entire shelf life. I hope it doesn't get canceled anytime soon. I would love to be talking about the new episodes of Smiling Friends when I'm 30. I'm not even doing a, like, legit, I would love to see 10 seasons of the show. Why fucking not? All my predictions are always right. It feels like they have a lot more stories they want to tell, but they aren't given enough episodes to do so because of HBOmax or TBS or whatever. All right, let's talk about the bad stuff. I said this was a spiritual successor to the filler video I made in June of my catch-up, and in the filler video I said, I hope they make more Close Enough so they can get their mojo. They cancel Close Enough. I also said, I really hope they find their footing in the next season of Three Busy Debras. Show got canceled. Joe Pera, which was a cult classic and had a whole dedicated community and something that flew under my radar and I definitely need to watch, also got canceled. I have a whole thing written, but honestly, a lot of this stuff is outdated. So I think I'm just going to explain everything to the best of my memory, so strap in for that. From what I know, and again, all my information comes from not industry insiders, but geniuses on Twitter and maybe some Discord servers, so if this information is wrong, bound to happen, but this is the bad stuff. There was a big merger a couple of years ago, and that was the big thing I was worried about, where Warner Media was bought out by AT&T, who then promptly decided, I regret this decision, and sold it to Discovery. Discovery, if you don't know, mostly makes TLC reality shows and Shark Week, so nothing good. So now the CEO of Discovery is basically in charge of Warner Media, who has actual scripted content, and they don't mesh, I guess. If we are going to do this as a continuation of my half-year catch-up, I was very optimistic. I talked about how much I loved Peacemaker. Our Flag Means Death. I recently watched Barry. I wish I could talk about it in the video, but I already passed it by. Craig of the Creek. Fantastic stuff. I was all very excited about the future of those things. Future looks bleak. Warner Media, and by extension HBOmax, is on fire right now. The best way to say it is hemorrhaging money. And before this merger happens at, I think, either next year or the end of the year, they need to find a bunch of money. They need to come across a bunch of money. So they thought, oh, we know, we'll just write off a bunch of shit and take them off so we don't have to pay people rights to the shit they worked on, and we'll make our money back. So they delisted shows like Infinity Train, Uncle Grandpa, OKKO, beloved shows, and people hated that, so much so that their stock dropped an insane amount, and they lost more than double the money they were hoping to get back by doing these write-offs. Now, we don't know if it's officially write-offs because we aren't privy to that information for whatever reason. The shows have popped up on iTunes and I think Hulu, so there's no way that they fully wrote it off because I don't know if they would be there. I'm not sure how it works. Maybe someone needs to buy the rights. I'm no copyright lawyer, but I have been sued multiple times. So from what I know, a tax write-off is they chalk it up to a loss. We're going to get our money back. We're going to recoup our losses, and in return, we cannot air the show, ever make money off this show, can't market it, can't sell it to people. It is no longer ours, but also it can't be anyone else's, so it's just gonna sit in this fucking attic where nobody can make anything about it, and we're not allowed to make money off of it, so why would we make stuff on it when we can't make money? This video is about Adult Swim, which is now fully cartoons, ironically, on the Cartoon Network, because all of the live-action shows have been canceled, so I'm focusing on the cartoons, but this didn't start with cartoons, it started with Batgirl. Brendan Fraser is a actor who is, I think, more famous now than he was at the time, but that might be high praise. Until recently, he came back to his film career and was in a hit movie called Whale. I haven't seen it yet, but I saw a standing ovation and it warms my heart. He was going to play an important character in a film called Batgirl, starring the Michael Keaton Batman, which is also a crazy sentence. And the movie was fully done, fully edited, fully ready to go out. The file was just sitting there. They didn't even need to do marketing on it. They could have just released it and it probably would have turned a profit. I don't know how much it spent to make the money, but they would have made some money. And they thought, what if we didn't do that? So in this nightmare hellscape of streaming platforms and different conglomerates owning everything and trying to flood their service with a bunch of shit, this network decided, what if we don't release the movie, write it off, so nobody can ever see it? And then Discovery Warner Media held a investors meeting where they said that they're going to move away from scripted content, fandom content, and move more towards reality shows. They also said that girls like reality shows and boys like scripted shows, which is, I'm not even a girl, but that's really fucking insulting. So shows I was excited to continue, like Peacemaker and Barry. Who knows, right? Could never exist ever again. On top of the stuff that I already reviewed and said I already liked, there was a lot of stuff I was excited for. I was legitimately excited for the future of Cartoon Network and Warner Media as an extension. If you are a fan of my content, Boys Hub Ultra Andrew, my video essays like this, I know this is shorter, sorry about that. And then you may note that I talked about Clone High in my musical episodes video. They were supposed to be a Clone High revival for HBOmax. I don't know anymore. I know why a lot of you guys are here, and I have come to accept that. Regardless, I'm not going to make a video about another character for a long time. That being said, the Total Drama video. Ooh, you guys love Total Drama. There was supposed to be a Total Drama reboot for HBO Max. Not sure about the future of that. There was supposed to be a Gumball movie and maybe a new series to wrap up the plot, but we actually do know the fate about that. How exciting. It's being shipped around to different companies to see who wants to buy it, which basically means it's been canceled. I know everyone wants it on a different streaming service. Oh, maybe Hulu will pick it up, but legitimately, best case scenario for me, I hope they give it a theatrical release. He's popular enough to sell enough seats. Oh, speaking of movie seats, because of the crazy amount of money they lost, they are only able to release 2 films this year. One, Black Adam, a superhero, supervillain, anti-hero tweener character played by The Rock, and The Rock, not that he has an ego, but he's like treating this like it's a wrestling character. He wants to be the most powerful, and there's this picture of them watching it in like a fucking meeting, and I don't think the movie's gonna be good, guys. And the other movie they have coming out this year, Don't Worry, Darling. Maybe this video is gonna be longer than I thought. So, oh fuck. From what I know about Don't Worry, Darling, it was an Olivia Wilde film. It is an Olivia Wilde film that was going to star Shia LaBeouf and Florence Pugh. Shia LaBeouf, shady character, got kicked off the movie. It was like, oh, maybe he deserved it. He seems like a fucked up guy. It turns out he wasn't kicked off for being a fucked up guy. Maybe that was related. He was kicked off so Harry Styles could be brought in. Harry Styles, not an actor, mind you, or he's been in movies, but you know, not good ones. Who just so happens to be Olivia Wilde's lovely, lovely boyfriend, starring alongside Florence Pugh in a movie. Can I even call it that? There was a clip of him maybe spitting on Chris Pine. I don't think he did. He said that it's a good movie because it feels like a movie. You can tell that I'm talking about this and I haven't seen the movie, so maybe I'm not giving it a fair shake. Maybe it's a fantastic movie, and maybe it gives Warner Media all their money back, and maybe they're able to buy all these shows back, and everything will be good in the end of the world, and everything we'll all hold hands and be able to watch the new Total Drama series, and it won't be my fault. So that's just the problems with Don't Worry, Darling, and I talked about Black Adam a little bit. Black Adam is part of the DCEU. Holy fuck, I don't know what. If Peacemaker's not around anymore, what's to keep you there? I don't know what is happening with this Flash movie, but it must be fucking Casablanca, because they're really gonna be like, hey, you guys gotta forgive Ezra Miller, right? They didn't mean it. They want us to see this movie so bad. There's like fucking nuclear launch codes in this movie, or the secret, they're finally gonna get all their money back if people see fucking Flashpoint, that they're letting Ezra Miller be like a warlord. So yeah, nothing's going good at all. It's all terrible. I've talked about wrestling as a little side thing and maybe a little references in a lot of my videos, but I've only done a full wrestling video once. I think it's private because I don't love it, but I am a huge wrestling fan, so just know that I've also been keeping up with all the AEW stuff at the time, and that also seems to be a huge mess. Obviously, Mr. Phil Brooks and all the people in the AEW locker room fighting, and Tony Khan being a man baby, has nothing to do with Warner Media as a whole. It's just a very fortunate coincidence that every single Warner Media thing I watch and or like is currently going through a meltdown. Cartoon Network has no new shows airing. I know that's like a constant criticism, but for their 30th anniversary, they can only talk about so many shows because a bunch of other ones have been delisted. They couldn't air Crossover Nexus, even though that it has a bunch of Cartoon Network characters in it. I don't know if I seem mad, but I am mad about this, and I don't have a lot of yelling left in me. If I filmed this earlier, I would have been way more mad and raging, but I've gone through the fucking stages of grief, and it's the very end of September, and I gotta cut this thing together and figure out a point I'm getting to. I watched the new season of Primal. It was fantastic. I think Primal got canceled. How many good shows do they have left? I know you're not supposed to end things like this with in conclusion, but in conclusion, the question, what is Adult Swim's future, postulated by me the previous year, is the future's fucking bleak. Obviously, I've been doom scrolling on Twitter and Tumblr and hearing shit on TikTok and YouTube and Twitch. I'm not even going to talk about Twitch. So that I only see the worst things and not the positives, but it seems everyone in the animation community, both people making shows and fans of said shows, nobody's happy about this. This is a net loss, and there's nothing we can do about it. Sometimes the show isn't popular enough, and I can rally the troops to be like, hey, let's all watch this show, and maybe it'll get a fan base. But I can't do anything about that. What am I gonna do? Get a bunch of people that watch the Total Drama video and be like, hey, if you want more Total Drama, you should give Warner Bros. More money. They don't deserve it. It's not Warner Bros. Fault. The new CEO is like, I don't like to name names and be like, it is specifically this executive's fault, because we rarely know what's going on behind the scenes, but come on, it all happened all of a sudden. HBO Max used to be my favorite streaming service I would use all the time. I can't show people Infinity Train anymore, and that's one of my favorite shows. I think one of the best shows. I really don't know. I hope you guys enjoy season fucking 5 of Euphoria. I still haven't watched it, sorry. The movies this year are a net loss. Worst case scenario, right? They're gonna need to lay off a bunch of people, and normally a company doesn't want to lay off the stuff that is important to them. I don't think Discovery Media sees a lot of importance in the Cartoon Network or Adult Swim. The bleak future is, oh man, they're canceling all the shows. The fucking worst possible future, which isn't impossible, is it just goes away. Remember how, I think last year, or maybe the year prior, G4 came back and people are like, oh yeah, G4. That could be the fate of Adult Swim. It just goes away. And then maybe like a decade later, they're like, hey, remember this thing? And then it dies off silently because it relies on fucking Twitch streamers. I'm getting mad about stuff that isn't related, and I don't want to ever come across as mad in like a video unless it's for a bit, because it's not fun to watch. But I like to end on a high note, but I don't know. It's bleak. I guess. Oh, fuck. I was gonna say, I'll end on a high note. I'll talk about how good the last season of Tuca and Birdie was. It's probably the best season. And how excited I am for Tuca and Birdie going forward. A bunch of accusations about Tiffany Haddish came out after that season and before this. I've learned my lesson of not reporting on accusations as soon as they happen and probably letting them play out, because I'm not a fucking news service. But I will say, if this is true, it probably is true. I don't know if we're gonna get more Tuca and Birdie, and that breaks my fucking heart. We can hope there's more smiling friends. I actually like the new episodes of Rick and Morty so far. Primal's gone. Three Busy Debras is gone. Joe Pera's gone. Can't imagine Eric Andre's gonna be around for much longer. OKKO's gone. Uncle Grandpa's gone. Summer Camp Island is gone. Victor Valentino's gone. Infinity Train is gone. Peacemaker might be gone. Our Flag Means Death might be gone. I am depressed. I know I'm smiling. I'm a nervous smiler. I don't want to bum everyone out, but that's the deal with Adult Swim. I could still be nostalgic and love Adult Swim deeply and still to this day support it and going back and watch all their old shows. There's a bunch of shows that I didn't watch in the anniversary video that I have since watched that I've fallen in love with. Frisky Dingo's the big one, obviously. I didn't talk about that. I don't know. I hope someone else has something positive to say. Somebody say something, because I really don't know.
So what? You're just gonna sit there until stuff gets better?
What am I supposed to do about it? Also, what the fuck? Where have you been?
Where have I been? You're the one that changed the entire set in one day.
One day? It's been months since I saw you last. Yeah, that many days. Was that... Holy shit, is that right?
Where did you even get a new couch? You don't have any money.
Oh, this thing? It's pretty comfortable, right? It came through the crack.
What crack?
The one with the water coming through it.
Should we worry about that?
I wouldn't. I got a bucket under it.
Oh. Okay.
So, we're ripping off Space Ghost now, doing the whole Space Ghost bit. Does that mean you're my Zorak? You play any instruments?
I can play my ribs like a xylophone.
Really? How have I never seen that? That's great, buddy.
I only really do it for Halloween.
Oh, well, that should be exciting. Computer, when's Halloween? Oh.